Hello there guys, and welcome back to Civilization 5. We're going to continue playing as Alexander of Greece, trying to get ourselves a diplomatic victory, which is far more of an economic victory, but it's certainly what we're going to go for. On the last video, we got Sparta up and running. We're putting a few turns into a hoplite, but as soon as we've finished ironworking, we're going to try and get the Colossus up and running. Now, it's going to take a long time to build, because Sparta doesn't have all that much production. It's a fairly new city, but it has to be built on a coastal city, and it's the only coastal city that I have. It's well worth trying to get this, because it'll be very important for us, as we want all of the money we can get. It will give us an additional plus 5 gold per turn just for having it, and an extra 1 culture, and a great merchant point, so all fantastic things to have. It'll also allow us to have an additional trade route, and we'll get a free cargo ship, and it means that trade routes we have with other civilizations will generate extra gold for us. Also generate extra gold for them, but that we're not too worried about. We may not get it. The AI may beat us to it, but we have to try. I think that's the important thing. I also want to set up another city around here somewhere. I'm not going to make a settler in order to do it. I'm going to wait until we get enough culture to get the last social policy in Liberty, because that will actually give us a free settler. It'll also give us extra culture in each city as well. Well, we've already got that anyway from having this tree open. But it will give us a free great person of our choice. So what we could potentially do, possibly, is get a great engineer and rush a wonder. Or we could get a great scientist and maybe build a academy just to get our science up and running. Because if I recall from the demographics, we are almost the worst in science. Almost, but not quite. Okay, apparently, where does it say percent? Literacy. So does that mean Dido has no science at all? Carthage hasn't researched anything? That can't be correct. Oh well. We shall see what happens, and we will go on to the next turn. We're 4 turns away from getting Stonehenge built, which will be quite nice. Got these archers here. Can't remember what I was doing with them, whether I was sending them out to have a scout around. I think I'd sent them off to Ife. That was it. We'd sent them off to Ife to deal with a barbarian problem over there, and now we are returning them back to our own lands to deal with any potential barbarian camps that we have missed. Now, Cape Town desires silk. We will be getting silk connected up soon, but not until we get our next settler. So we shall continue to move you back towards home. Ah, of course, we have these guys down here. You can't even really finish those guys off, can you? So I'm not even going to bother encountering them. We have discovered a natural wonder, though. We've found Mount Kilimanjaro. Free promotion for adjacent units, altitude training. Now, it's a shame we don't actually have any sort of way to build a city down here. It's a little bit too far away from our domain. However, I am definitely going to go and tag this with my scouts, because if you move... and we discovered this in a previous series. But if you move a unit next to Mount Kilimanjaro in any of the adjacent hexes, it gets an altitude training, which essentially gives it double movement in hills. Now, for most units, that just counters the debuff you get, because you get a terrain penalty through moving through hills. Moving through hills uses double movement. So getting double movement on hills basically evens them out. However, for scouts, it's very, very useful, because scouts don't suffer from a terrain penalty, which means that scouts move through hills at the normal rate. So if you give scouts double movement in hills, they actually can travel further and faster on hills than they can on flat land. So we're definitely going to go down there and tag that. Except a lot of barbarians have just turned up, which I'd rather not have to fight. Well, we're now in the classical era. We're going to go over here. There's a barbarian encampment, which is nasty, because it probably means all of these barbarians are going to end up getting altitude training. But we do have altitude training now, so double movement in hills. We can't really get away. Hopefully we won't get destroyed there too much. Let's have a look and see what we're going for next. I probably had this worked out on the last video, but I can't remember what I was going to go for now. It might be worth going into trapping so we can get horseback riding and get the caravansary, because that will certainly help. And then we can move into civil service. Probably a good way to go. So, because I did say I was going to start backfilling. Mathematics would be nice as well, but not necessarily needed straight away. Saying that, there's no rush for the caravanserai, and if we can get the hanging gardens, that would certainly give us a bit more growth. I'm going for a little bit of a weird route, because even though I've picked Liberty, which is geared more towards building lots of smaller cities, instead of Tradition, which is used for building a fewer number of bigger cities, I could actually try and build Athens quite big in terms of population, which is probably what I will try to do. So let's just keep these guys around now. We've actually finished and we're able to start the Colossus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Sparta. And the Colossus is going to take 31 turns, which is quite a long time, but the sooner we get it started, the better. We're also going to have a look and see if we can increase the production here. We currently have 31 turns, production of 6. We can't do anything really to increase our production here. We just don't have any tiles that give us a lot of extra production, which is a bit of a shame. So we'll leave it on default focus for the time being. And let's just move on to the next turn and watch our newly upgraded scouts get attacked by barbarians. Just as expected. There we go. I'm not even going to bother trying to fight them off. We can go back down here to where they were. We've got these scouts upgraded. Now we are going to move as far away from them as possible. As you can see, we actually moved 3 hexes there because we moved from a hill, which meant we had double movement. So it only cost us half a movement to move from that tile, which is quite nice. But we're just going to try and get out of the way. Okay, so that worker in Sparta has got that farm done. Now, what would be the next thing for you to get set up that could potentially be useful? I think we should come over here and get this iron set back up, actually. Let's put our archer in the city for the time being. Or at least close to it. In fact, I may actually move them over and just use them to guard the workers. There may well be barbarian camps around here, so we do have to be careful. We have managed to build Stonehenge, which will give us a lot of extra faith. The player that we haven't met, or in this case the AI that we haven't met, actually has the biggest army strength. So, don't know who that is yet. Hopefully it's not going to be anyone too aggressive. Okay, so what are we going to do here at Athens? We should probably get a shrine up and running for another 3 turns. We are starting to put out a lot of faith now. Someone did suggest after the last video that I should get a religion. And that is certainly something that I do intend to do. But it's not something that I'm going to prioritise because the biggest problem is we've got Spain in this game and Spain play a very religious game. I don't want to waste too much time and effort competing against their religion. I'll probably pick up Tithe if I can, assuming that nobody else has. Kuala Lumpur is now my ally because I built Stonehenge for them. Well, I didn't build it for them, but it was a quest they had, so they now count as an ally. And they're a culture state, so it means that they actually give us extra culture per turn. They do have a quest for a great musician, which we are quite a ways away from doing. Let's just go into the diplomacy overview. Look at the not World Congress, look at the right button. Diplomacy overview, and we'll look at the global politics, and we can see who has built what. Darius has the Great Library, but as far as wonders go, doesn't look like anybody else actually has any. Bit of denouncing going on between Spain and the Songhai, so if they want to battle it out between each other, let them. Social policies, everyone's pretty much on 3 or 4. Washington has 5, he's doing quite well there. So we're just going to let you heal up, I think. Just leave you there where it's nice and safe. You guys are going to come over here. And we'll get you onto that tile and we'll get that iron connected up. At least one thing, we'll have some additional iron to sell because we're not really using it at the moment. Sparta's clearly grown because already the Colossus was down from 31 turns to 24 turns. So it's certainly helping there. A unit needs orders. Okay, you guys, you may as well... Actually, stand on the hill. It will give you a better vision all around. Let's just go on to the next turn there. Nothing really exciting we can do. Public decoration from Persia. They are protecting Kuala Lumpur. Well, that's fine. They're still our allies. Genoa desires incense. Barbarians are up to stuff. And we have mathematics, which now means we could attempt to produce hanging gardens. We've finished our shrine in Athens. But we can't produce hanging gardens, of course, because we don't have tradition. I think you need tradition to build the hanging gardens. Yeah. So we could still pick that up. Because I may well open tradition. Because it will give us some extra culture. It's something that I will keep in mind. For the time being, though, we do still need to build something there. We will try and increase its size. So we're going to go for the granary. And then we are certainly going to have to start getting some units pumped out of the door. So, what do we go for next? Well, it probably makes the most sense to go trapping into horseback riding so we can get that caravanserai up and running. So that is what we will do. You guys are going to go into alert mode, just in case any barbarians turn up and try and take that worker from me. Now, what I meant to do on the last turn, actually, and I forgot to do, so I'll have to do it on this next turn, is just check what tiles my cities are working. We have a great profit, which is absolutely fantastic. Now means we can found our religion, which we are going to do. There's no lightning strike symbol, sadly. I think we're the first people to actually create a religion here. So we'll go for our usual vaultology, just because. And found a belief. We should have everything to pick from. And we do have tithe. 1 gold for every 4 followers of this religion. Which is a great thing to have because it's not cities that follow. It's actually individual followers. So you can have a city that has followers of multiple faiths. Now, your faith may not be the dominant faith in that city. But providing you have at least 4 followers there, you'll still get 1 gold per turn for it. So that's well worth having. As for our follower belief, shrines provide happiness, which could be quite useful. But when you're one of the first people, if you get the option to grab anything like cathedrals and monasteries and mosques and pagodas, they're usually well worth grabbing because you can get nice things from them. So, for example, it's really nice when you can have faith, culture, and happiness. Now, we are going to have... Was it wine and incense? Can't remember if it's wine and incense we've got. I don't think it is. Peace Gons... Nothing really gives us an awful lot of money. Now, swords into plowshares could be good. Faster growth rate for cities if not at war. But then you've got to be able to balance that out with the happiness. That is the problem. We probably won't be going to war, so that's not really the issue. But I think what we will go for is the pagodas. Not that bothered about the faith because we're not playing the religious game, but it would give us additional happiness and it would give us culture. So let's go ahead and do that. So we now have a religion, and we were going to have a look and see what tiles we were working, because we are on default here. Is there any better tiles that we could be working that we're not? We've got an awful lot of production around here, but I think everyone's pretty much working the best tiles possible. So we'll leave that as it is. These workers are building a road out to this tile because that is where we're going to put down our next city. So as soon as we do, it will be connected up. That's the reason they're out there doing that. Very quick look at Sparta because it has grown slightly. I don't really think it can do anything to improve production. We could not do Allura and go there, which would knock some turns away. Goes down to 18 turns from 21. We would save 3 turns. But it's not an awful lot. So I think we'll just leave it as it is for now. Let's go on to the next turn. We're actually top of the scoreboard now that we've founded a religion. So we soon got up there. I guess what I could do is I could produce another caravan at Athens and use it to send production to Sparta. It certainly might be worth doing that. Now, as I said, you should really use cargo ships over caravans because cargo ships are much better. That being said, though, we are on a Pangea map, so cargo ships aren't going to have as many targets as we would like them to have. So we'll certainly think about doing that very soon. These guys have now healed up. I'd like them to do some more exploring, but with these barbarian camps around, it's going to be a little bit difficult. But I will keep them. I will keep them on the move. As you can see, move on to a hill. They've still got 1 movement left, so they've actually, again, moved 3 spaces. So actually getting that Mount Kilimanjaro upgrade for these guys actually means they can move further, which is very nice. Well, Spain's dropped right down to the bottom of the scoreboard now. I wonder if they're in some sort of... Well, they're not at war when we last checked, but they certainly don't seem to be doing too well. We've got trapping. I don't think we have any camps that we need to get connected up, though. At least I don't seem to recall that we did. No, so we are good on that. Production at Athens. We now have ourselves our granary. We could build a watermill, which would give us a little bit of extra production. It'll also give us some extra food. So it does help us grow a little bit quicker. And then we definitely... Ooh, caravan for 5 turns. So by the time the caravan's finished, that will already be down to 14 turns. Yeah, I think we've got to do it. I mean, we can always sell a caravan later on if we decide that we want to get rid of the caravan and use a cargo ship instead. So that's not too much of a problem. That mine is done, so we're going to go here and we are going to build another farm. You guys have built that road there. Now, what do I want to do with you? I guess we could come and build another farm over here, I suppose. We can always rip it up later on if we decide to do so. So Darius has entered the medieval era. Still one unmet player. Not too sure where they are yet. It could be down here somewhere in this bottom right-hand side of the map. There's a lot of mountains kind of in the way and barbarian camps and stuff, so it's quite difficult to get down below this area, but it's what we'll try and do with our scouts if we can skirt around Carthage without causing too much of a problem. We got a free movement there because Carthage's borders just popped onto that iron, which knocked our scouts 1 hex to the left, which is good. That's the direction I was heading in anyway. Unit needs orders. Of course you do. So let's get you looking down over here. Well, this is a boring couple of turns, just moving a scout around. We haven't really got anything else we can do. Now, it's actually quite useful, Carthage, starting next to mountains, because as soon as they produce their first great general, they can actually move units through the mountains. I believe that's the perk. Anyway, I could be wrong. Let's just have a quick look. Carthage, Dido. Or am I thinking of somebody else? No. Units may cross mountains after the first great general is earned, taking 50 hit points of damage if they end a turn on a mountain. So once they get their first great general, which they probably haven't yet, not from killing barbarians, they'll be able to move their units over mountains. If their unit ends a turn on a mountain, they will take 50 hit points worth of damage. So they're actually quite a good civilization to be next to mountains, because they can actually move over them, and I think... there might be one other civilization that can do it. There are a few units that can move over mountains, such as attack helicopters, but they have the same problem. If they actually end the turn on the mountain, then they will take damage. So we've completed horseback riding. Let's just have a quick look at the tech tree again. We could go for masonry, but there doesn't appear to be an awful lot of point in doing so. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus could be useful. We don't really have any marble or stone around to work, but we would get 100 gold every time we used a great person. But I think all in all, currency is probably going to be better for us, so we're going to go into currency to start with. Athens has finished its caravan, so what we will do here is we will get a caravanserai up and running. The caravan needs orders. Now, we've got 13 turns left on the Colossus. We are going to... oh, we can't send food, of course, because we don't actually have a we can't send production because we don't actually have a workshop here. That is something that I had not considered. So, I forgot about that. Do we have any city-states that have any missions for a trade route? Currently, yes, we do. I want a trade route, so we will set up a trade route with them. Hopefully, it won't get pillaged by barbarians, so let's send you off. And if there's no barbarians in between, we should be good. I'm actually going to move these archers back over in this direction, just in case we do end up with any nasty problems there. Carthage wants embassies. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Now, happiness isn't great at the moment. Right, trade route established for Ife, which is very good. So the mission's complete one way or another. Now, we are making a little bit of gold per turn, but not enough to buy a luxury resource from somebody at the moment. So we do have to be careful here. So we'll keep having a look around. Okay, you guys have now... finished that farm, starting to run out of meaningful hexes to get workers to upgrade now, so we've got to be careful here. And you guys have finished that as well. It's a shame we don't have that wheat. That could actually be quite useful for our growth. We've pretty much upgraded everything that we can upgrade here. So you can skip a turn for now, just until I find something you can do. I mean, we could just... Is it worth taking down the forest? No. Actually, here's an idea. Move you to there. And then on the next turn... Leventa wants Voltology. What we can do with you now... How far away are we from construction? We'll leave you there until we get construction, and then we will put in a lumber mill. You guys are going to try and have a look down here and see what you can find. Probably death and destruction. We found Carthage's capital now, which is actually the other side of the mountains. Okay, you want to give me gold per turn for salt. That's fine, but will you give me 7? Yes, you will. There we go. Got a bit of extra money out of the AI. Hopefully we still have some salt. Yeah, we do. We have furs and we have salt. So we don't have many luxury resources. Actually, we don't have many luxury resources around us on the map at all. In the area where we've settled, we are going to be getting some silk very soon. We could pick up some extra salt. The incense, it's Ife that has. We could actually make another city down here. This is actually quite a good spot for a city, really, because it has incense, it has an oasis, and 2 wheat. And we could put a Petra down here. We could also build one here and grab the wine as well, because we've got bananas, wheat, and wine. So there's a lot of food in this area here. Probably a little bit too close to Persia, though. And he's probably going to get a little bit upset if we were to settle that close to him. Not that I care too much about upsetting him, but sometimes it just isn't worth the hassle. So let's have another farm here. We're 10 turns away from the Colossus now. I think we may be able to do it. There's just no guarantees. Let's go on to the next turn. Should get our free settler on this next turn as well. There we go. We have enough culture to adopt policy, so we're going to get collective rule. That will give us a free settler, who annoyingly doesn't start in the city and now has to travel an extra tile to get up there. Well, actually, we're going here, aren't we? And we have the roads, which helps. Now, we get a free great person of our choice. And I'm actually a little bit skeptical of what to take at the moment. I could take a great engineer and try and rush the Colossus. The problem is, by the time the engineer got to the Colossus, we would... it would be near enough finished already. We're probably not going to be building the Petra anytime soon, because that's not next to a desert tile. Do we have any wonders that we could potentially try and ninja build very, very quickly? Machu Picchu would be a very, very good one to get, because we would get an extra 25% gold from all cities with a connection. It would give us faith, it would give us gold. So what it may well be worth doing, because I will probably go from currency into guilds. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pick a great engineer. And I am going to just basically keep them to one side, because we're next to a mountain, which means we can build Machu Picchu. You guys are going to carry on exploring around. See what you can find. Some incense down here. There's Genoa, another barbarian camp. Cape Town, Sofia. Still haven't found that final... Right, you want us to move you, does it? Well, we'll move you there for now, and you're just going to go to sleep. We'll move you back into the city as soon as it's safe to do so. Unit needs orders. I think you guys are actually going to be okay where you are, so we'll just put you on alert. And I think we've probably got time for about one more turn before we wrap up this video. I see America has a lot of scouts that they're moving around the map. There's my caravan coming back. All good stuff. Let us continue to explore around, see what we can see. Well, that was an uneventful turn, so we won't be counting that one as our turn. Now, we do get a cargo ship when we build the Colossus, but remember, we also get another cargo route as well, so we won't go over our cargo limit. I think that's the only reason it gives you another cargo route. So let's move on to that hill there, and then we can move... Oh dear, that was a bad direction to run in. I think we will be retreating from that as soon as we can. Choose production at Athens. Okay, we need to start getting ourselves some units, so let's get a hoplite going. Our settler has arrived on the hex I wanted them to, so let's drop them down right there, and we get ourselves Corinth. 300 turns to the next growth. Seems a little bit OTT. But what we can do, of course, is we can take our worker over here, and we can go and build ourselves a farm. Corinth is going to build... probably a library, actually. We don't want to grow too fast now because we're in negative happiness. But we certainly do need to be able to get some of these issues sorted. In fact, we're going to buy that tile with the Silcom. And then we're going to go and get that connected as soon as we can. Sparta. Caravan. Who were you trading with? Do we have any missions for a trade route with city-states? No, we do not. So, let's have a look at our available trade routes. So, available trade routes. Obviously, we're looking at the land routes. We want whichever one gives us the most gold, which would be... Okay, I think we had this issue before. Highest gold would be Athens to Samarkand, which would give us 7.7. And we could get 7 if we went to Washington from Athens, but we'd also get 1 science. We'd also be putting religious pressure on him, which is nice. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to move this caravan to Athens. Now, the reason it was at Sparta before, Sparta was giving us the best deal, but what we've since done is we've built a caravansary here, and that caravansary increases the gold we get from the trade routes. So that's why Athens is now slightly better for gold. And I'm clicking next turn because this is Civilization 5 and, you know, one more turn. Okay, yep, you still want to fight Spain. If you want to go off and fight Spain, go off and fight Spain. But don't bring me into it. I don't need all of that rubbish going on. Yes, I figured you guys might end up getting into a bit of trouble here. Not really an awful lot they can do about it, sadly. They should be very good at running away, though, because they've got the mountain movement. So let's get you right over here near Darius's borders. City connection between Corinth and the capital, even though technically the city connection was established before the city was even down, but it does mean that that's connected, which helps things out nicely. Not too bothered about the warrior, but these workers are going to go over here. Of course, it's crossed a river, so that's used all of his movement. We could potentially upgrade you, but only into a swordsman, which I don't think makes you all that useful. Do I have anything else that I'm likely to want to spend money on to ninja buy something? Probably not, so we will actually get you upgraded. Caravan also finished its trade. Oh, it's this one we just moved, isn't it? So we were going to send you to Washington, because we'll be giving him 1 science per turn back, which is a little bit risky because Washington does like to go for scientific victories, but at the same time we're putting religious pressure on him, so that will be good for us. Got 5 followers here at our holy city, so at least that means we're getting 1 gold per turn from the tithe. And there's currency finished. And we don't... no, we only have 1 follower here, but it will increase with time. So we said that next we were going to go for guilds, because that will allow us to get Machu Picchu, which we're going to try and ninja build. I don't think there's anything else that I particularly want. I mean, there's a lot of nice stuff, but I think the Machu Picchu is the best thing that we can have for our particular goals here. Let's just move you away from where those barbarians are so you can heal up. You guys have finished with that, so you may as well go up here and connect the horses. Now, one thing that it is advising me to do is to build a road here and connect Sparta to Corinth, which I probably should do, particularly if I get Machu Picchu up and running, because I will get the additional gold from having connected cities. The main reason that I didn't connect Sparta up is because obviously roads are quite expensive, and having a harbour at both cities would have connected them in the same way. Obviously, though, it is going to take quite a while to get a harbour, to be able to research it and to build one in each city. So I think building a road between them probably isn't too much of a bad idea. So that is something that I will consider doing. You guys are going to construct the plantation because that will get us silk and that will get us some additional happiness. We're doing quite well for gold per turn now. It might be worth actually having a look and seeing if anybody actually has any spare resources that they could potentially sell to us. Just looking down here, most people seem to have... Morocco has cotton. Morocco has spare cotton, and Washington has spare spices. Now, Washington has the lowest amount of gold, so he may be the most willing to trade. Will you trade with me spices? What do you want for this? Salt. That's my last salt, though, so I don't want to give you that. Would you take 5 gold per turn?
No.
No. Would you take 6 gold per turn?
Of course
Right, 7 is the most that they should ever ask for a luxury resource.
Of course not.
Oh, dear. How about if I give you 5 gold per turn and 3 iron? Yes,
right.
okay, brilliant. Didn't really need the iron, and that puts us back into positive happiness, so at least we get a little bit of growth now as well. Those swordsmen aren't going to do anything apart from just sit on the spot, and that probably is really where I should end the video. So we've got another city up and running, which is quite nice. We've got ourselves a wonder since the start of the video, because we have Stonehenge. 4 turns away from getting the Colossus. We've got a religion. We've got our great engineer in the form of Archimedes. We've finished a social policy tree. We've got to the top of the scoreboard. So it actually has been quite a productive video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I hope you're still enjoying the series, and I'll see you next time. So until then, goodbye for now.